Hello, welcome to Series 2, Episode 4. We're actually doing it on game day for the first time we've ever done it. I'm joined by Dom.
We're raw tonight, aren't we?
Yeah,
All emotional. Just watch. You have to bleep us, won't you?
yeah, I know.
It's all gonna go off. Wow.
Usually when we've calmed down by like the
This is so
Tuesday and we're more
exciting.
reasonable. Chris, I'm joined by Chris. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm tired and emotional as well, so stand by.
And
Oh, it's just any day, isn't it?
I'm joined by Tom and his mate's lovely smooth setup. He's got the yellow mic on and everything. So
Yeah, evening guys. Evening, how you all doing?
You should be hosting this, Tom, with that setup. More professional than me tonight.
I know,
Right.
it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, we're all emotional. Right, so
I really am. Really am.
just if you didn't know and you're seeing this now, Torquay have lost to Byron Woods again. We'll delve into it. I don't think Torquay played badly at all. It was one like the first half was not good. Obviously, questionable refereeing. At times, we move on to this refereeing in general. But at the end of the day, it's 1 goal from 4 games. It's 4 points from 4 games. And yes, what were your thoughts? We'll start with Chris. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, I don't think we played badly. I just think we lacked the ability to put the ball in the net, which is the most obvious statement of all time. But I think what was better than probably I haven't been to 2 away games, but it sounds like we actually created chances today and we looked like scoring. With Andrews back up front, it just give us a different dimension. Although that said, I did feel that our two forwards, Goodwin and Andrews, were done. Where hopefully they'll learn from it because they were dealt with very well by.
They're good centre backs for Warren though. Every time
been there for like years,
absolutely, yeah. But I'm not downhearted in that. No. We looked far more like scoring and we looked far more of a creative force today than we did against Oldham, for example. But unfortunately, as you said, the raw facts are that we've scored 1 goal in 4 games. We've got no goals at home in 2 games, and unfortunately, that's the reality and that's the fact, isn't it? Which is a little bit frustrating because I think if you look at the amount of the saves that Nathan Ashmore made today, we deserved.
Yeah.
They didn't deserve to win the game. I think a draw was a fair result. Were it not for a scabby miss-hit shot in the first couple of minutes.
Exactly.
That was the difference.
Exactly. And Nathan Ashmore, which we have decided is just onside, I think, as Gary Johnson say, is off. But
tight, but ish.
We'll go on to the rest of the 7 in a bit. But my problem with Andrews, because we're starting the forward line, he did that brilliant turn. Any other, Ashmore, how Nathan Ashmore was playing in the National League still. I know he's 32 now or whatever it is, but that's like he's such a good keeper.
He's very imposing, isn't he? He's a big guy. When you see him coming at you, you don't fancy scoring, do you?
No. And another day we would score 2 or 3. Don't get me wrong. Another day, Bolton would have taken more because Alstead made another good string of saves. But my problem with Andrews is he's clearly got a talent. Like he was a great elder shot, and he's not fully fit yet. He just needs to anticipate more because he's got ability, but there's just that lack of anticipation. I think a big thing about the strikers, no one really holds the ball up. Goodwin is a bit wise at times, but not one of them hold the ball up. And at times, this is why we keep losing the ball.
I thought the difference today was their striker and Love kept holding the ball up, didn't he? He had Omar right in his back, but he kept holding it again and again, and it kept building pressure on us. And they were just building up pressure better than we were, where we were just trying to get the ball up and it was coming back a lot of the game. So that was frustrating, wasn't it, Chris?
It was, and I think as well, you'll also see, when you look at the squad, and I think a lot of it is geographical in terms of the types of players they're able to get. But if you look at the 3 forwards they had, and Love was the best striker on the pitch by a long way, big, strong, quick, held the ball up well, got down the sides. You look at Tyrone Marsh, wasn't great when he was with us, but he's got a good record and he's played. He knows what he's doing at this level. Yeah. Danny Newton came on, who's ex-Football League, scored goals in this league for Solihull, I think.
Yeah.
So, and they're just, in terms of, experienced pros. What struck me again, looking at our team again today, is that I think there's definitely players who've got ability, and there's definitely players who've got promise, but it's a very young team. There's not a lot of know-how in that team today. You look at the displays of some of the, you look at Crowe, Hansen. I like Hansen. He's got ability.
But he's not able to start.
The problem is there's just no cohesion. We haven't got McGavin into the game in midfield. There's no doubt he's our best midfield. I found it a bit odd that Lapsley played in front of McGavin. He was the furthest forward of the 3. You would have thought that in terms of work rate and kind of ability to get in the box and score goals that McGavin would probably
I think
be more
they're
obvious
thinking
for us.
McGavin can provide more passing wise, whereas Lapsley's pass is not his game, so he's trying to scuttle
That's two
forward
great
and help in attack.
How he missed that chance in the first half as well.
Yeah, Lapsley.
Yeah, just spooned it over the bar.
That wasn't easy.
No, he's got to get on target there at least. He
I
was.
think
He
it was a
he
lesson
just kind of stabbed the foot at it, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was a lesson for us how to start games. Going back to right at the start of the game.
Yeah.
They were right on us to start with.
Yeah.
They weren't messing around. We were almost sort of caught in a kind of limbo of we'll just work our way into the match, find our feet. You haven't got time for that.
Yeah, because we've started the first few games quite well, I think. Obviously, I wasn't there today. I haven't seen I've only seen the goals on BT.
That can be just.
I think Sam, we brought
they win
that up.
so many games 1-0 Boreham, don't they?
But I think we brought that up, Sam, didn't we, in the last episode? You know, if we go behind early, it looks like it could potentially be a long game for us.
And it's 4 minutes. And
sadly, that's what it proved to be.
Yeah, no, you're right. And my big thing, I'm sure, as Tom seen when you saw the Halifax games as well, is that this 3-5-2, which I won't lie to you, it's a 5-3-2, the way we play it, as I've said, is so limiting. Like, I just don't think it suits you. You have to make a 3-5-2, you have to have wing backs going up, else you get very narrow. And I don't think our wing backs are confident enough like that. They're good players. Crow got out muscled again today.
Their left back outplayed Crow today, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
our left back was very good, but in the tackle, he's very good in the tackle, which is the most important thing. But I
do think the problem is that I think we've kind of, I mean, I'm sure you recruit the players for the system you want to play, I guess, to a point, but we are limited to that system now.
Exactly.
If we suddenly thought, we're going to go 4-4-2, we haven't got any natural. A part of the problem in the team today is we've got no natural pace.
Yeah.
And there's no width to it.
Yeah.
When you play 5 at the back, not a 3-5-2, there was no width. So I mean, if you look at a lot of our, the second half, we had a lot of pressure and a lot of the territory. Moxie got forward more than he was ahead of Wyatt on several occasions.
Yeah.
Which
Wyatt is definitely a left back, isn't he? He's not a wing back. He doesn't push forward enough. He hasn't got the pace to get that way. If you put Dan Martin into that team and then
you're right.
I did in Jarvis up front, I think you'd see a different kind of.
You're right. No, you're definitely right. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't have a plan, but unless you play it like the narrow diamond that we played a bit, where you've got like basically 4 central midfielders who do go out wide a bit, and we've got a lot of central midfielders really when they're all fit. So I think my big problem is we didn't really happen where we just got the midfielders on the ball. Like I said, this every game I've seen us, including pre-season, we just don't get the players that we need, which are McGavin and players like that on the ball. And that's where we're going to come unstuck, because if you're not getting the scraps from long throws and whatever, where are the chances coming from? But
it's difficult. It's difficult to find the right blend in midfield, because you can go too defensive and suddenly you're going backwards all the time, or you can go too attacking and suddenly there's big holes in front of your defence, which is, I mean, they haven't conceded many goals, but they are looking a bit shaky at the back and a bit hesitant. So you want to provide protection. So it's getting the right blend, and they haven't played together much. So
there's no cohesion yet.
Time, unfortunately.
There's no cohesion yet. There's no cohesion. And that's the worry. I mean, the pressure's on at Maidstone next week, man.
Yeah.
Really
Big game that. Especially on the 4G, what they play. Our record there is terrible. I actually, funny enough, bumped into a Maidstone fan who was at the game I was at today, and he wasn't very confident. But it's hard at the moment for us because, like we said last time, Sam, where are the goals coming from at the moment? I mean, yes, we're not conceding many, but we're still feel like our defense is very shaky, and
also the chances is you'll concede one, won't you? Because you just do. You're not going to keep clean sheets all the time, so you do have to score 2 goals or more, and that's where is it going to come from? I think is the biggest question at the moment. So it could take time. I'm fairly calm about it.
I'm still calm long term. I'm just I just we don't look bad, but we don't look great.
We've had a tough start, haven't we? I mean, again, referring back to the last episode, Sam, I would ring off, we had Oldham, Halifax, Bromley, and now Boreham Wood. I mean, they are tough fixtures. They are all against sides that you would expect to be fighting for at least playoffs.
That's right.
And with the rebuild that we've had, again, it's whether you're, glass half full, glass half empty sort of person. I mean, it's definitely a difficult start for us, especially with a new team of a lot of our good players gone. But yeah, next weekend I think it's quite a big game, because if we can get a win there, then all of a sudden, actually, it's not too bad of a start. I mean, yes, it's disappointing today, but again, we always seem to lose to Boreham Wood, and I think we did create enough from what I heard in the second half. If it wasn't for Ashmore in goal, we might have got something out of it.
I mean, August Bank Holiday weekend is always a big weekend. There isn't 2 games in 3 days. Can be, you can get 6 points, or you can have a great one, or you can get no points and it'd be terrible. But I think I mean, I agree. I think I am relatively calm about it. And I think we've played better today.
Yeah,
the lack of goals, literally, and kind of whether we look like it. And I guess as an overarching question, I guess, is bearing in mind, this is the core group that we're going to have this year. Does this group look good enough to get us in the, and to be challenging at the top ends of the league? That's my concern. I don't know. Again, it's early and people have got to settle and they've got to play together and they'll get better and all of that stuff. But is there enough raw quality from what we've seen so far to say, this group can get us fighting in that top 10? I haven't seen it yet, but as you said, there's only 4 games gone, so that's not to say that it's the end of the world.
You're seeing it in stages, glimpses, aren't you? You're seeing it in glimpses. But we need, at the end of the day, again,
it's that potential, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's that keyword potential.
We
when you get the players
all
fit.
Last season. Then we're always talking about it's potential, whether they can do it, and I do still believe this squad's a lot more complete than last season. That's what my opinion was at the start of the season. But obviously we'll see. I think the things today though, like, they were good chances. It's such a difficult way to judge it at the start of the season, because we've improved again. The performance has improved. Another day we lose that by more. Another day we win that, and that sounds obvious.
I saw more today than I did the first day against Oldham. I got a point against Oldham.
If it wasn't for Ashmore, we'd be sat.
We didn't do anything, did we, going forward? Yeah.
No, I'm
seeing a development in how things are progressing, but I mean, you need to get rid. We can't keep going forever thinking, well, they'll come.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to get wins,
and you can't just be like 20 points off after 15 games like last season. Just hope you're going to be in title winning form out of nowhere. So
I think
the other problem as well, which today, and as Gary said after the game, in fairness, when you lose, you're always going to say it, is that if you don't get decisions that.
Yes, I was going to move on to that.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say. I think the penalty decision, sometimes you see it and you think, I've seen those given, or that could have been given. But I'm sorry, that's just a penalty all day long. I mean, you can't, you won't see anybody.
Didn't he? I mean, it looked like a pullback, but it's difficult to tell from our side.
It's just been absolutely taken away from him. And the referee today, it's a different sort of ref than usually the refs. I know I go, they're arrogant and they make the games about themselves, and you just have no idea what's going on. This ref I don't know if he found his whistle. And I prefer ref to be like that.
Seem to want to give anything,
but there's key decisions in the game when Moxley got taken out. There's probably things there and that we worked in our favour. Of course,
Andrews had a bit of a thing, didn't he? Early days, but he just didn't seem to see anything or call anything. My
problem is so that's a young ref today, and there's obviously reference shortage in quality. And you listen to what Nigel Pearson said after they won the game. He said it's ruining the sport, and it is because it is ruining the sport. Is that a bad attitude from refs? Is that this? Is that, or just a lack of it? Go on, Tom.
It's sad going into games where you just know the referees and the officials are going to be very poor.
Yeah, it is annoying.
It's really frustrating. And it's a pleasant surprise when you get maybe 1 or 2 a season where actually they were actually pretty decent.
I didn't notice them. They let the game go.
But
they made decisions they need to.
I know Gary wasn't very happy in his comments, but at the same time, it's. With all due respect, Gary, what do you expect from National League officials? Sadly,
I think watching what he said after the game, Tom, actually, as we've seen the interview after the game, I think the point he made as a more overarching comment is probably the bigger issue.
Yeah, that's
what he said that they all they all went to Birmingham. He said him and Downsy spent 6 hours in a car going to the referees' meeting. And I think personally, and having watched some Premier League games and obviously a couple of our games as well, I am in favour of this more lenient approach, because the amount of games you see where there's so many free kicks for nothing. So I am in favour of it, but that doesn't mean you end up being a bit lawless. Yeah. And I think Gary's frustration listening to him is that we went, him and Dowdy attended this meeting. They were told this is the way it's going to be. This is the way it's going to be. This is the change we're looking to implement. And yet the referee's assessor said to Gary after the game today, well, he didn't know that wasn't how he viewed it. Well, hang on a minute. You can't go and tell the people in charge, tell the management teams, this is the way that your games are going to be officiated, and then you turn up and these people don't seem to know what that is. And
it's just that inconsistency, isn't it? You know,
absolutely.
you just want if it's there in, you know, black and white, just follow it. Either stick with it, or I don't know. It's just so frustrating.
The one today is just. It's not, you know, sometimes you can say, well, you could have given that, but I mean, I just cannot understand why you wouldn't give that. It's just so clear. I mean, he was about to shoot.
I'd always say
pulled him round with his shoulder.
I'd say it swings and roundabouts because in the season, the best teams that he was just so passive. The referee, he didn't want to actually give any decisions to start with. It was almost like he'd forgotten his whistle.
Yeah, my point with the refs, right? So we have this problem. Like for me, this is just like I'm gonna get my management head on. Like when you're in the workplace, you have a problem. You know the problem, but then it's like the solution. You can't just go with the problem all the time. We know the problem is the standard referees. What does a fourth official do? Like honestly, like they need help more than ever. Linesmen that always seem clueless. They can barely do their own job at times. But something needs to change. It goes right. We've got a problem in this country with refereeing. We need to change it from all levels. We can't even take referees to a World Cup. So this isn't just National League, it's going to the very top. We watch Premier League football, we know what happens. So, you know, things have got to change to help them. Is that the fourth officials actually do more than just, you know, checking
I saw Downsy talking to the fourth. He was talking to the fourth official today, and the fourth official, I didn't see it, and kind of a bit dismissive. He didn't really want to engage in conversation.
But there needs to be something that improves it to help.
Doesn't help.
Exactly. Like the fourth official is watching it to go, well, the rest missed that. Somehow 3 linesmen missed that. I need to see that. You know, like, what's the point?
I do believe a lot of it as well is about bottle.
Yes.
And I think this is the problem. It can be arrogance for some people. I agree with Dom today. This guy passive is a good word to describe him. I think an observation, not a criticism, just an observation. I thought as an officiating team, they were very young. The 3 of them were very young.
To the background, didn't they? They didn't want to make any big decisions today.
Yeah, which I prefer refs to be like, but sometimes you need to obviously stamp.
Well, decisions right or wrong, and it's
about. But I guess it's the same in all walks of life in jobs, isn't it? You know, it's about decision making. I think that referee knew that if he gives that penalty, it's probably a red card. And it's a penalty, and it's a game-changing moment. So it's easier not to do it. It's easier to just not give it and say, no, it's not a foul, isn't it? But that's not the right thing to do. So the easy thing is not always the right thing to do, but you're there to make decisions and make the decisions from what's in front of you. I think the referee came into that game thinking that he wasn't going to give us anything. And I think that was pretty clear with the way
I'm going to let the game flow. I don't want to make any big decisions. I'll just let it go like that. But if you're going to make a decision, you got to give it. And, you know,
it's always difficult though when you're chasing the game so early. I mean, from the 3rd minute onwards, you know, to go 1-0 down so early. You know, if you got to be in control of the games. It's not the reason. I wish there was a bit more openness with refereeing in this country. I mean, I'm not a fan of rugby, but I love how open they are.
Exactly.
And I mean, even Mike Dean last week, was it Mike Dean was on VAR last week in the Chelsea Spurs game? He actually came out and said they made a mistake with the hair pull for the equalising goal for Spurs last week. I thought that was brilliant. That they came out.
If they were just like, it's like too much. If they would just said, look, this is a situation, we're struggling, we make mistakes. You know, even in VAR, I feel like in VAR, they don't want to make their ref on the pitch look bad, so they don't overturn things enough. So, we're making.
I think as well that there is an issue. There is an issue from the kind of there's a systemic issue with the way that officiating is managed in this country, because you look at the amount of red cards that get rescinded, and actually there's almost, which I agree with what you say there, Tom, about the fact that was good to hear, because actually I think there are a lot of problems with the fact that they don't want to overturn decisions, and actually they kind of almost they almost blindly stand by decisions that most of us who watch football say, well, that's never a red card, or that's ridiculous. Well, that's got us never. I mean, I noticed they rescinded one in the week for Chris Gunter, which I saw, and I thought, you know, he was kicked and retaliated, but it wasn't that bad. But it's very rare that they do that, and they do just kind of back the officials up, and actually that sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
I would like to see them explain afterwards. I mean, maybe not our level, but definitely at Premier League level where they're so high profile. If they explained afterwards, then fans would probably understand a little bit more, and
absolutely,
there would be a bit more leeway between us and the officials.
And they should get praised. Then that way they get praised more. Like after a game, when someone goes, "Yeah, get praised," and if they do something, they should get interviewed and say, "No, this is my decision. I made it. I got it wrong." I think,
but even at our level, I would have less issue if referees, whether it be after the game or however process you had in place, but if a referee said, "Look, I viewed it, I thought he won the ball, so I didn't think it was a penalty. I've seen it go, I was wrong. I'm sorry, guys."
Yeah, that's.
I'd have no issue with that because it happens like that, doesn't it? It happens in an instant.
That would give them a lot more respect, wouldn't it? I think.
Yes.
Game, but then you've got it would help, I think, all around.
But then you've got the FA promoting certain referees who, as we discovered, going back on it a few years ago, getting promoted into the EFL.
Don't open up that.
We opened it up last time, but
we're already raw, Tom. Don't do it.
Don't pull that.
No, but I do think that there needs to be an improvement on the officiating. I mean, it's not I admit it's not an easy job, of course, but
horrendous job.
When you see that there are no English, referees going to World Cups and European competition, it does make you wonder.
Yeah. I have to say on this as well. And I've been having a running battle with my dad over the last couple of games. It doesn't help. My sister's a qualified referee, and she kind of tells you some of the rationale behind stuff. And one of it that my dad and I have been debating at length over these first couple of games of the season is this notion that a lot of referees tell assistant referees, that they're not to use their flag. I make the decisions. You do offside, and actually, if some of them have a certain zone where if it's in your zone, I want you to say, that's a foul. But, and of course, when they're mic'd up, it's easy to say, I think that's a foul, ref. And he'll say, I thought the same and give it or whatever. Yeah. But this notion that linesmen are there, they're almost seen and not heard, which I have a real issue with because actually they are there. Their flag is not that we can't hear the conversation. I'm trying
to think there was a referee we had last year who's quite renowned at Torquay for not being great towards us. And I'm sure he had the same.
Brett Huxtable.
The same thought. That's it, Brett Huxtable. I'm pretty sure I heard that he was sort of the same manner. He wants to make the decisions. The linesman,
But I think that's the directive. I think that from for kind of the very interesting kind of conversations. But I don't. I mean, directive's probably not the right word. But I mean, I've heard it in interviews before around the fact that referees are in charge and linesmen are there to give an opinion, but. It's about the referee making the decisions, and to a degree that's right. But equally, there are going to be situations whereby linesmen are going to have better views than referees, and you're going to get things wrong because you're sticking to a process. Not actually, I had a better view.
There's a couple of decisions like that today, wasn't there?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wasn't there a one in the Premier League? This is when it was like Liverpool and Spurs, and John Moss was refereeing, and his assistant was saying, "No, this, and that," and John Moss was like, "Yeah, but I'm referee, and I'm going to give it," and it was the wrong decision. The linesman had it right, something like that. I've seen that.
But that goes back to this idea that that I'm right and that's it, because actually a linesman could be in a better position.
And a lot of it comes down to arrogance with referees, honestly. Like, I think stereotypically they are quite an arrogant bunch with all that kind of thing.
Going back to the game, which players stood out for everybody today then? Well, obviously not Tom because he wasn't there, but
in a good way. Do we go in?
Yeah, of course.
Halstead, Moxie, and then I thought McGavin, when he actually had the ball, when he was never given it, he did good stuff.
He almost called him McGalvin then, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to think about it and got it right, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I'm getting over it. I called him McGavin early as well. No one batted an eyelid.
Can I ask about our defence? Because I know our defence, we've only conceded, we've conceded 2 in 4. But the feedback I'm getting at the moment is we are just so nervy at the back.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment or?
It's hit and miss.
Well, much like I said before, I think they just stayed too far back. We just let them have too much space. That was the trouble.
Can we just point out in the National League as well today that Scunthorpe were 3 up and lost 4-3?
So it could be worse. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we're moaning that we've lost 2, drawn 1-1. I mean, you could be Yeovil, who are, haven't won a game yet. Halifax haven't won a game yet. I mean,
haven't scored a goal, Halifax.
Yes, I mean, Scunthorpe are down there at the moment. I mean,
I think what I'd say on the defence is I thought that A, it's changing every game, and that's not ideal. I think
Donlan looked a bit unfit, didn't he?
Donlan's a centre mid by. I know he can play centre back as well, but just play him as centre mid.
Yeah, I thought they did okay.
To be honest,
I thought they did okay today. I think Omar got beaten up a bit by Unlove. There was one in the first half that nearly cost us when his body shape was all over the place. When he should have just turned and headed it. And I think, but that's all. But again, this is because he's learning on the job, isn't he? And that's it. But I mean, Moxie was outstanding. Moxie was the best player on the pitch again for the second home game in a row, which probably the fact that a defender's man of the match for the first 2 home games probably tells you that the offensive players are not quite doing it yet.
Tom Lapsley had a good game, I thought, buzzing around as usual. I mean, he couldn't pass the ball very well, but he almost scored a couple of times. I thought he was.
That was the thing with him last season. He had one good game. He had one good game, one bad game, really, didn't he, Tom Lapsley?
And then missed 10 injured.
Yeah.
I did wonder if he'd make today after playing 290 minutes. I did wonder if he'd make today, but he looked good. He got in the box. He got in the box a few times, and he wanted to be. He wanted to be the match winner, but of course you put him over, and he's just too damn short to get to most things.
I thought today was a very un-Lapsley like game because I've said before he's either really good or terrible. And today I thought he was probably did okay. He had a 6.5 out of 10 game today, which is very unlike him.
Yeah, no. There's. I suppose I'm not panicking, but then I'm like, it's just in line with where your expectations are. If I'm honest, a lot of talk fans disagree with me, and mine they aren't too high.
Is your glass still half full, Sam?
Overall, it is. Yeah, I mean, I just get fed up and moaning a lot of the time. Like, I've got it's enough to moan about in other things. Like, I get frustrated and angry at football, but I don't sit there like my life's ending.
No, mine is almost empty. Look.
Yeah, mine's almost empty, and this is lemonade.
I think the thing for me is we're only 4 games in. There's still 42 still to play, and reading the comments on Facebook and social media at the moment, I think some people are overreacting. Okay, yes, we may not be playing great, but we're only 4 games in, guys. I mean, come on, like
people. I think it depends on expectations
and how they use football in their lives. Like football.
If you're thinking we should win every game and be top of the league at this point,
we were in the football league,
aren't you? But we know
the problem when you have one great season,
and you get all your fans back there. Yeah, you get all your fans,
and then the fans come back.
Like,
to be honest, I've seen a few people who want seeing Gary out already, and I really hope they're not serious. I really hope that's just them trying to get a response out of people.
Banter, but you never know, do you?
Not with the Yellow Army on Facebook,
no. I have to say, there's a comment I once made, which I was thinking about driving home today, and I pray to God I'm wrong, but I remember walking away from Ashton Gate with my dad and my son. I said to my dad, and I said to them both, I hope in 10 years' time, we don't remember this moment and think that was the chance. When we're still doing this in 10 years' time.
Well, Chris,
and here we are 18 months later, and it doesn't feel any easier.
I'll be brutally honest with you. I do still think that was the moment. And now we've got that team took 3 years to make. And this has had 4 games, this new team.
Sam, you're not helping. You just said you were positive. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm positive. I'm positive. I'm not like sat ranting and.
I do feel like this is a squad in construction. If you look, I mean, we've doled out 2-year contracts to these young guys, so
I think we'll come good eventually.
I think next season could be a bigger season. I'm not ruling out.
Oh, blimmin' heck, Dom! 4 games.
Not at all. No, we've got a chance.
46 more points
season already.
Building season.
46 more points to go. But
I mean, at the moment you've got Barnet top, Wealdstone second, Dorking Wanderers in second.
I told you Dorking would come good. Mark White is a footballing genius, and I watched this YouTube series for 2 years, so I should know. Barnet, they've got Ben Winter, scored against Woking today. Well done.
Always does.
Barbo's header. Good goal.
You've got Wrexham's this thing. Notts County haven't started that well. I was at 6 points.
It's all up in the air, isn't it?
Just how it
it's
goes.
all up in the air. It's only 4 games. Yeah.
I always
calm
say,
down, Yellow Army. Calm down.
I've always said what Gary says. Come back to me at 10 games. Come end of September. Come back to me.
Yeah.
And then that's when it starts to shape up. So when we're 5th at the end of September,
or 15th,
fine.
Yeah, I know. Like I suppose with football, I'm not as black and white with things. It's not like we've lost with rubbish or we've had a poor start with rubbish.
We can't afford to be.
Things take time in football.
And as we know this week, Tom was there, I wasn't, but sometimes you get what you deserve and sometimes you don't. And we didn't deserve to win at Halifax, let's be clear. We didn't. I wasn't there, but I've read enough to know we didn't deserve to win, and today we didn't deserve to lose. But
I think out of the last 3 games, you probably call it, we probably deserved 2 points from the last 3 games, and we got 3 points, didn't we? So it swings around, doesn't it?
So we're a point ahead, is what we're saying.
Yeah. That's it. But I mean, playing in Bromley and Boreham Wood does make you feel really National League during the week.
But guys, at the end of the day, we're only 3 points off the playoffs at the moment.
Well, I was thinking, I was looking at the table.
Oh, look at that!
Only 3 points off the bottom. But
we're still winning by 20 points. I'm telling you, we're going to win this by 20 points eventually.
Yeah,
you just got to keep the faith. Keep the faith; it'll be fine. Just
you're going to
trust in Gary.
Saying
get
that
it right.
till about March, Tom.
Always back the lads.
Even if it's not mathematically possible, I'll still say it. You never know. Teams could get points deductions.
He's just staring off in front of his friends now, isn't he?
Well, yeah. They're happy enough tonight. But no, just keep the faith, Yellow Army. I mean, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a tough start. Calm. It's a team in transition. I mean, again, 3 points off the playoffs, 4 points from 4 games. Tough start.
I wouldn't even look at the league table a minute.
Life's bad, and you've just got to get on with it. Is my opinion.
This is Torquay United. When do we ever do
what
things
do you expect? Easily? I can't believe those people like twice my age sat there like crying about Torquay United. It's like, how are you used to this by now? If you can't handle this, like seriously, if you can't handle it, if you're booing, if you can't handle it, go and support something else. Honestly, Torquay don't need people like that. Really,
everyone's entitled to their opinion. Worse than this.
Everyone, but like until you're sat watching Gary O'Ra's ball. And you've lost 1-0 to Hampton and Richmond, then what is the point?
You haven't earned your stripes yet. Come back when you've been through hell.
Exactly. They've never let it down, though. They've never let it down. But then we beat them 3-0 in the return game. So,
I think the only thing I'd say is the lack of goals. You do want to keep the supporters coming through those turnstiles.
Buckle's team in 08-09, 5 points of 4, bugger all goals. It's got any in pre-season.
We need to see some goals, don't we? I think soon. And a bit
Tim Sills fancy one last run.
Yeah, we'll get a dodgy Tim Sills penalty against Norwich Victoria, and then we will all turn things round. Anyway, before Zoom kicks us off, thank you for joining me. I've enjoyed this on a Saturday. Actually, it's a bit like group therapy, I would say.
Therapeutic, indeed.
I feel better than I did. So absolutely, it was. Definitely.
Thank you for joining.
Any excuse to see you guys on a Saturday night?
Yeah. Well, so we will be recording after the Woking game because I'm away in Leicester, where I'm originally from, and then I've got Reading Festival. So
no internet in Leicester.
No internet in Reading Festival either. So
this has turned into Sam name dropping his social life, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant. That
work and education, you get a lot of time off.
I'm going on holiday, so I won't be back for a bit. So that's unfortunate for everyone.
Yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, we'll film after the Easter week. Not Easter, geez, I'm still in April. After the bank holiday weekends. I'm still scarred by that Easter weekend where it was like play Woking, and then we had to talk on here and on the podcast about a 0-0 against Eastleigh. I don't think I'll ever get over that.
Oh, you poor thing.
Shame, Sam.
God, wow.
Such a hard life.
I know. In this club. Anyway, thank you for joining. I'll edit this up and then we'll get it out. So yeah, and keep the faith. Back the lads, back Gary Johnson. And we'll see you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.